Stephen Brooks of 24/7 Sports is back to grace us with his presence. He's going to let us know what he saw from Saturday's game, also the Mondays with Mel press conference, and everything in between. Let's have ourselves a show. Let's go.
Are Locked On Spartans, your daily podcast on the Michigan State Spartans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I am surrounded by my favorite people of all time. Yes, I'm talking about the listeners of Locked On Spartans, the viewers of Locked On Spartans, but also Stephen Brooks of 24/7 Sports. I'm going to let this dapper gentleman talk in just 1 second, but first got to do the housekeeping of asking you politely, hey, rate, review, and subscribe to this here podcast or YouTube channel. Yes, this is Locked On Spartans. I'm your host, Matt Sheehan, and we do this 5 days a week, no matter how bad the season's going or how good the basketball season is about to get. That's right. You know where to find us 5 days a week. Also, if you ever want to reach out, lockedonspartans@gmail.com is the place to find us. And without further ado, do you know what? No, I'm just going to lean into that. Of further ado, Stephen Brooks, 24/7 Sports. How on earth are you doing, my good friend?
I can't complain, man. We got some warm weather today. Maybe get some yard work done. Things are good. Solid weekend. Won big on some NFL bets, actually. Things are going all right over here.
Do you want to talk the next 30 minutes about NFL betting, or should we talk about Michigan State sports? I guess we should, feed the
I don't want to give it too much oxygen. I probably shouldn't have even said anything because, it's, as you know, it's insanely hard to win on the NFL, and I've been doing
impossible.
I don't have the numbers, but I'm well above 500. I'm hitting at a pretty good rate right now. Yeah, and I'm losing at an alarming rate in college. So it doesn't make any sense at all. I don't really know what I've got going on. I mean, here's your free tip: bet underdogs, folks. Just take points in the NFL. Take as many points as you can. That's really been working for me for the most part. But yeah, other than that, now I'm probably gonna go 0 for 6 next week, and we'll be back to normal there.
No, I hear you, because every Friday we do the 5 best bets on this show, and we're actually we're nearing 60% right now, which is a PSA for everyone. Keep listening to Locked On Spartans, Friday episode, 5 best bets. Start fading those because there's no way that's going to continue the rest of the season. So the most financial responsible advice I can give you, third segment of Friday shows, start fading those picks pretty soon here. Stephen, you came out of the Mondays with Mel press conference, and I just want to highlight two of the most important things here. The two maybe only takeaways. He talked about Jaden Mangum, obviously the freshman safety that left the field, carted away on the backboard, said, quote, he's progressing nicely, and said that his injuries are not career threatening. And also he spoke about Xavier Henderson and Jacob Slade and said he is closer to returning. Both of these guys are closer to returning, but quote, this is going to shock you all. They'll be ready when they are ready. Other than that, look, Tucker said that he's not frustrated. He's holding guys accountable behind closed doors. He has no emotions over playing his alma mater, Wisconsin, this weekend. Did I miss anything really, ear-perking during this press conference, or is it just, kind of, I don't want to say robotic, more of the same, but, was it just robotic, more of the same?
Yeah, no, you covered most of it. He on those things that you said, Xavier Henderson and Jacob Slade, both of them dressed on Saturday, but neither actually got in the game. And I had heard that Xavier Henderson wasn't going to play in that game. So weeks ago, I should actually start there. A couple weeks ago, I heard Ohio State was the original target date for him to return, or at least, was sort of the general idea, hopefully we can get him back by then. That was several weeks ago. I checked again Saturday. I was like, hey, is this the day? And got a no back. So then he runs out in uniform, full uniform. I'm like, whoa, what's going on here? But then sure enough, he doesn't even do full team defensive stuff. He did a little bit of individual in their warm-ups and everything, but when they went full 11 on 11, as they do a couple of snaps here and there, he didn't do any of that. And then by the second quarter, he didn't even have his helmet on and stuff. It was very clear he wasn't playing. Jacob Slade warmed up and was doing third team stuff, and just wasn't as involved either. So he did not get in there and didn't get in there, didn't have an impact on this one. So I think both seem to be close. I mean, that's an indication, I guess, though, for me, if you knew neither guy was going to play, and at least with X, I don't think that was ever going to be in the cards. Maybe Slade was more of a give it a go and see. I don't know that. But if you knew neither was going to play, why would you even put him in uniform because you're just signaling that they are close, right? And so now Wisconsin's going to be, they're going to have their ears perked up and say, oh, is that guy going to be back this week? Is that other guy going to be back this week? First for a program that, the coach won't even tell you what he had for lunch today. Like to give you that sort of tip, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. So, maybe I'm improving security here and we'll never see that again or something. But that was kind of odd. I think a couple of the quotes I think that you touched on, stand out. He said, I'm never going to throw a player or coach under the bus publicly, but behind closed doors, I'll chew their, and we'll do what has to be done. So I have no doubt that that's happening and has been happening. That's when you see Tucker on the sideline, that's who he is. You see him at clips of video practices and whatnot. He's not the same guy that he is up at the podium. I'll just say that. So I have no doubt that's been happening. You talked about, I asked him about, playing Wisconsin and, is there any memories or sentimentality there? And he was like, no, got a job to do here.
There's not.
So, maybe that's something, in the off season over dinner or beer or something, he would talk about, but obviously not really, what on his mind right now. And he doesn't really lean into that type of stuff. The other thing is, he was asked about the crowd and, you were there. We got to link up real quick before the game. That was fun.
Yeah.
Saw you down there with the big wigs on the sideline and everything. And that was,
me.
Cool.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, only
the high donors, Steven. That's right. The high donors. That's right. My $10 50/50 ticket purchase every week. Yeah, it gets me.
Right.
With those people. That's right.
but I think you were there pretty deep into the game, and you saw how where the crowd ended up in the fourth quarter and everything. And Ohio State obviously represented themselves well with the fan base, and they hung around, and it was pretty red in there by the end. So Mel was asked about that, and he was like, "Look, I don't expect unconditional support from almost anybody in my life." He's like, maybe I can count it on one hand. And of course, he's talking about like his closest family and friends and all that.
Sure.
Other than that, he said though, he's like, I have no right to expect, just endless unconditional support or love from anybody. He's like, and he made a joke about even his dogs. He comes home from a game like that, they look at him funny. So, he was kind of like, what do you want me to do? He's not like he's going to go kidnap people and handcuff him to the bleachers over there or something. Maybe
it's not a bad
maybe it gets
idea,
to that point. I don't know. He just kind of threw his hands up and was like, yeah, I want people there. I hope that we have their support, but it is, he acknowledged it is on them to put a product out there that's worthy of support and that's worthy of staying out there for 4 quarters in potentially uncomfortable weather, or spending, you're sacrificing your entire Saturday, spending what it costs to do these type of things, and have that whole day taken up by that. So I think that's interesting because people, I know that the crowd has been a topic of discussion lately, fan support, and then, the pictures came out and everything, and it just, it was pretty predictable, honestly. People cleared out. There wasn't much else to see there, and the Ohio State fans were basically all that was left for the most part.
100%. Yeah.
So that was something that he said today versus previously it's always been like, we got to pack the stadium. We got to do, we got to be out there. It was a little softer today in terms of just like, what do you want me to do? Like I want them there. I can't make them be there. And we're going to try our best to make it an enticing product to get people there was the gist of it all.
Yeah, and I swear I'm not like doing a state media thing right now. I'm not like going full North Korean propaganda right now. But like I actually, the stadium was a lot more packed than I thought it would be, especially like, to start the game. I think there was only maybe
a few. Okay.
Sorry?
At its peak, you mean? Like at the beginning of it? Yeah.
Like middle first quarter, everyone's in their seats. There was only a few pockets of empty seats like in the upper deck. And yeah, sure. Okay, by the end of the game, all the Ohio State fans are there because what is there to stick around for if you're an MSU fan? You're watching your team get absolutely, bludgeoned again. But when the game started, like it was a full stadium. And I think a good contingent of that was Michigan State. But yeah, however, when the second half rolls around and it's 35-13, and for once again, it's the 4th straight week in a row we're looking at a double-digit loss in the barrel. Like, yeah, I can understand why people would just want to continue with their lives on their Saturday here. So I guess the way of me saying, like, yeah, I think even Mel Tucker understands why people didn't want to stick around in the second half. And yes, you see the pictures on Twitter, in the fourth quarter. It is completely all OSU in the stands because, well, yeah, they drove 4 hours to get up here. Why would they, leave a victory early? But also, like, there was a good show out. And I think it will continue to be a good show out this upcoming weekend because, yes, it's homecoming, but also, too, it is, quote unquote, a winnable game. Michigan State is 7-point underdogs right now, but like there's a far difference between Ohio State and Wisconsin. I think that if you're going to get one more good crowd, it's going to be this Saturday. So yeah, I think that it was an interesting thing to bring up with Tucker because yeah, the end of the game did not look good, but I'm just going to speak up and say like, hey, at the first 2 quarters, Stadium looked pretty good. And then, well, you look at the scoreboard, 35-13, you can understand why people, you know what? I'm going to go mulch today. I'm going to go cut that lawn that I have to. So I don't know.
There's a point in the third quarter I wanted to be doing some yard work. I still got some stuff to do before
No
the leaves fall and the snow falls and everything. But
yeah,
look, and you know this, Matt, like this stuff never comes up unless the team's struggling, right?
no, of course
And then
not.
it's just one more, it's a little more salt in the wound. It's one more thing to pile on for people that just want to talk smack about, it's never, the crowd's never a topic of discussion when things are going well. And they don't always pack it up to the brim when things are going well. It's just one more thing that comes about. It's one more way to rib, your Michigan State fan at the water cooler and everything, your neighbor, your uncle, whoever. It is kind of overplayed and everything. But it is what it is, I guess. We'll see what this week looks like. I mean, look, it's going to be pretty empty in there in November, I think, if things don't turn around. And, why would you show up for that? But, yeah, no, I just wanted to point that out. It's like I think way too much gets made of it, probably more than ever. And Mel Tucker made a point today. He went through literally every stop in his coaching career, literally every one. And said at none of those places, which obviously includes Alabama, Ohio State, and Georgia, he's like, at none of these places did I ever expect unconditional fan support. He's like, that's just not a real thing. And I know that there's this idea that, the blue bloods and the big boys show out no matter what. And that's fairly true, but
mostly true.
You can go find some you can go find some times, the Luke Fickell year at Ohio State, pre-Saban at Alabama, pre-Kurt, late in the who's the guy that was always winning 8 games? Mark Richt at Georgia, late in that era. You'd find some pockets there of empty seats and everything. So it happens. Like I said, it only becomes this thing when things are not going well on the field and people just need something else to talk about, I guess.
Yeah. Well, speaking of something else to talk about, we'll go back to talk about what actually happened on the field. But yeah, no, that is a point of conversation too, not just amongst fans, but clearly at the press conference with Mel today. But Steve, next time we talk to you, it'll be after I talk these people's ears off about Upside. That's right. We're talking the Upside app, folks. This is a game changer, a money saver, because from cringing at the pump to getting an eye-popping check at your favorite restaurant, inflation is hitting us all where it hurts, and it really hurts. That's why I started using Upside. Upside is an incredible app for anyone who buys gas, groceries, or dines out. With every purchase, I'm earning cash back thanks to Upside. To get started, download the free Upside app, use promo code LOCKED. That's it, just LOCKED, and you're going to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. Next, claim an offer for whatever you're buying on Upside. Check in at the business, pay as usual with a credit card or debit card, and get paid. In comparison to credit card rewards or loyalty programs, you could earn 3 times more cash back with Upside. Upside users are earning more than $1 million every week. That's probably why they have a 4.8 rating on the App Store. So what on earth are you waiting for? Start making that cheddar. Download the free Upside app and use promo code LOCKED to get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. That's $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more using promo code LOCKED. And I also got to tuck your ear off about Acre Pro Midwest Farm Group. That's right, the greatest in the business. When it comes to land sales, it pays to have experts in your corner. Acre Pro Midwest Farm Group are your local farmland specialist. With decades of experience in the Corn Belt agriculture, no one knows the market better. Whether you're doing a 1031 exchange, expanding your operation, or selling a row crop farm, your local Acre Pro agent will walk the land with you and ensure the deal is done right. Great service is also just the beginning at Acre Pro. They provide unparalleled land data, including soil ratings, elevation, flood zones, and land valuation across parcels so that you get the full picture up front and you can be confident in the entire land market with Acre Pro. Your agent will cater to each of your individual needs and help you navigate the complexities of buying and selling land so that the process is made simple. Experience the ease of Acre Pro by working with farmland specialists like Kyle Rule, Brady Hammond, Neil Hurt, and Kyle Spray. Visit acrepro.com or call 765-587-3185 and talk to your local land expert today. Again, that's 765-587-3185, Acre Pro Midwest Farm Group. And let's welcome Stephen Brooks back onto the show. But first, hey, just thank you all very much for making Locked On Spartans your first listen every single day. Stephen, you want to buy a farm with me? Are you that bored so far this year? Or do you just want to get into the farm sales or no?
Man, I mean, I'll consider it, I guess. I I'm not that handy, like inside
Same.
or outside, to be honest.
Same.
I'm trying to grow some grass right now, so
Okay.
we'll see how that goes. And I tried to grow some earlier in the summer, it hit or miss.
Okay.
So I think I'll start there, and if I succeed, then maybe we can enter more serious discussions.
Yeah, we'll figure it out as it goes here. Steve, so back to Saturday's game here. I did the post-game show, and, unlike the Washington game or the Minnesota game or the Maryland game, I didn't come on here all despondent or angry or depressed. Just because, look, what we saw on Saturday, is Ohio State, a team that might go on to win the national title. Okay, that's first and foremost, have to mention that. But it was just more of the same from Michigan State. It can't get off the field on third down, miscommunication in the secondary, no run game, mediocre at best quarterback play. We can't make an extra point, for crying out loud. It's like I can't be upset at things I'm not surprised at, but I want to pick your brain. Did you learn anything new about Michigan State on Saturday, or is the answer quite simply no? Let's move on.
Not really. I mean, I expected an absolute whooping, and that's what it was to me. I mean, 2 late touchdowns,
Sure.
lipstick on a pig, as far as I'm concerned.
Covered the over, though. Covered the over. So I just want to point that out really quick.
That's important.
Covered the over.
Okay,
so.
yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, I mean, no, I don't think Ohio State could have put up 50 or 60 points, and they put up like 77 on somebody, I think, this year. They could have crossed 70, and I don't think the impact would have been much different. Like, they're light years ahead of this program right now, but we knew that. It's it was the preceding games, that were really troubling in terms of like comparable talent levels, teams that you should beat, situations that you should be able to be successful in. Like Ohio State, I wrote about this, like even in the summer, like the biggest slappies I'd hear from, or the most Looney Tunes predictions, always had one loss in terms of their season record, and it was always that game. It was never anything else. Like I picked them to go 8-4. I don't remember what you had. Most people were like 7, 8, 9 wins. A couple people were really high on them and said 10 wins. I did see a couple 11s though, and like it was always that game. So I don't think anybody, I understand the rash, like in the moment, emotional, knee jerk to it all. And it's like, it sucks. Nobody wants to see your team just get bludgeoned that way. And it felt so easy for Ohio State, right? Like that's, I guess, what I think people wanted to see is just don't make it so easy on them. Like, you're going to get your teeth kicked in, but like, don't make it easy. And they made it easy on them. Like, other than the pick six, I think it's 7 of their first 8 drives, they scored touchdowns on. It's just rolling. It was just a matter of when. When are they going to reach the end zone? Is it going to be a 90-yard drive? Is it going to be a 60-yard pass? And look, I mean, I think there were some small things that were kind of encouraging. I mean, Chuck Brantley was in good position on 2 of those touchdowns. He's just giving up, measurables to Marvin Harrison Jr. He just can't overcome that weight and height difference. But like, he was right there on a few of them. That's semi-positive. Jaden Reed's touchdown catch, I thought was pretty impressive. That looked like the Jaden Reed that we all expected to see, wire to wire this year. Like, that looked like Jaden Reed at his best. Beyond that, though, there's just really not a lot. Like I said, it just seemed so easy on them. Like, it felt like at any given moment they were going to score, and they, kind of almost did. I mean, then that long busted coverage to Emeka Egbuka, it was just like, deflating, because even if I think on the outside we all knew where it was heading, Chuck gets that pick six, it's tied, you're kind of feeling good. That gave some juice to the stadium. There was a small window there where it felt like maybe this can be a game, and no, every time Ohio State got the ball, it was just a parade to the end zone. But yeah, so like I wrote about after the game though, like that was never going to be the game that was going to tell you much about Michigan State. We knew that they were very, very far behind in 1 good recruiting class, 2 good recruiting classes, maybe even 3 stacked all up together. Might not be enough to get you on par with them. 3 is where you really start to have that discussion, obviously, and then beyond, you're hoping to be there. But my column after the game was just like, right now, that game did nothing, and really the season so far has done nothing to deter the long-term arc of what Mel Tucker is trying to build. He's never had a roster capable of competing with those guys, and so therefore that's not really a fair expectation. It is fair to expect him to compete with and definitely beat teams like Minnesota, Washington, Maryland. But this is still, everybody has their own opinions of where this program is and where the rebuild is, and whether there's year 2 or year 3, year 0, a factor, COVID, all that stuff. But like until the 2023 recruiting class starts, disintegrating, which has not happened yet. There's 10 4-star commitments in there. That would be one more today than the 2016 class, which was the highest ranked class that D'Antonio ever signed. Everybody knows what happened there. Right now, they have one more 4-star than that, and I got to believe they're probably going to pick up at least a couple more. If they can keep this all together, then there's no harm done. Like I get it's in the moment and temporarily, it can be embarrassing and painful and frustrating. And look, at this point, I probably would think there'll be some staff changes coming through next year. But in terms of like the sky is falling and all our panic, hold off on that until the recruiting starts going south, because that's what's going to get you to the place to where Mel Tucker's salary is justified, to where they can really compete for things, and to where it's going to be really fair to judge him and his staff sort of being on equal footing when they can get a couple classes in here. And it's the year-over-year data is there. There's no reason to believe that this is going off the rails yet. Now, if they don't win another game this year, then maybe we'll have another discussion next week. This weekend is obviously very important. And if those recruits start falling off, but you went from let me see here. Oh, I don't even have it, but I think it was like 26th, the 2021 or 2022 recruiting class was. This year's true freshman, like 26th nationally, 24 something. This next year is already trending to be top 20, with all those 4-stars I mentioned. 24, they already have 2 4-stars who are both top 200 kids. So every class is getting better. It's just like it does take time here. And I know that's a tough answer and a tough thing to digest in the moment, but
right.
I see no reason for big picture concerns until the recruiting drops off, or B, if you start feeling like Tucker's not seeing sort of some of the same things that everybody's seeing in terms of scheme or staff or whatever. If it seems like no changes are being made after the season, just nothing's being adjusted, then maybe you can start to have some concerns. But as bad as that was, the whole arc's intact for now, I think.
And that was a great column, too. I read it right before we hopped onto this call at 24/7 Sports. I believe that was the VIP subscription, too, which is still worth every dollar. So go to 24/7 Sports, sign up. If you already haven't right now, see all the great work. Stephen Brooks, Justin Thinn, Corey Robinson, the whole gang at 24/7 Sports is hooking it up.
Thank you for that.
You know what? You briefly mentioned staffing changes. I want to pick your brain about that in a hot second. And, of course, if you think I'm letting you get off this call without talking about Payton Thorne versus Noah Kim, you're out of your mind, Stephen. But we'll hit that. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm going to let you stew on that as I talk to the fine people about our friends over at Nissan. That's right. They have brought over a new segment for us, and it's a quick segment. We're talking about thrilling moments because, hey, if you want to thrill, hop behind the wheel of a Nissan. Our partners at Nissan have worked with us to create a new segment across the Locked On College Network titled Thrilling Moments, where we highlight the most exciting play from the Spartans' weekend game. That's right. We're going to do our best here. So, this week's thrilling moment from the Spartans game over the weekend was, look, it's got to be Chuck Brantley's pick 6, right? We have been yearning. We have been thirsty, starving for an interception, and I swear that looked like a mirage in the middle of a desert. CJ Stroud, the guy who's probably going to be winning the Heisman this year, throwing a ball directly to Chuck Brantley, who leads a defense that has not had an interception at all this year, catches the ball, waltzes into the end zone. Spartan Stadium, still full at this point, was absolutely positively buzzing. We will not talk about what happened the rest of the game because, well, we're talking about the thrilling moments, and my golly, gee willikers, was that thrilling or what? This segment has been inspired by the thrilling new designs featured across Nissan's new lineup of vehicles. Pursue what thrills you in the all-new Frontier, Armada, or Pathfinder today, available now at NissanUSA.com. All right, let's shut this thing down with Stephen Brooks of 24/7 Sports here. Yesterday, I was talking about the quote that Mel gave after the game, of course, because he was asked about, are you going to do any staffing changes or anything dramatic like that? And he said, I'm not thinking of making staffing changes at all. Of course, he's kind of got to answer that. Then, in the back of my head, I'm thinking, hold on, are we getting to a spot where maybe Hazelton won't get asked to leave after the season? Has it been proven this much that on the field the talent isn't even there, and that's going to give Scottie Hazelton an out? Because I went from 90% he's gone at the end of the year to 60 or 65% that he's gone at the end of the year. I need to know a rational person's point of view on this with you, Steven. Do you still think most likely Hazelton is going to be the fall guy here? Or are you reading this quote and hearing Mel talk and thinking hey, maybe Hazelton is going to get another mulligan next year too?
Gun to my head, I think he's probably out after this
Okay.
year. But look, I mean, we're only halfway through the season. There is opportunity for him to turn this around and put something together, and frankly, inspire faith from Mel
Yeah.
Tucker to keep him around. I don't know. I don't think that decision's been made, of course, and I don't think that'd be wise to. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, he's, you got to keep an open mind and try to work through this and see what you come up with. I'm sure maybe Mel Tucker's leaning in a certain direction or has some ideas. You can't just completely block that out. But I think it's unwise to just make that decision now. Even if you were going to wait and actually do it later, like I think you got to be open-minded about that. And I don't know how he weighs like the injuries, because I mean, let's be honest, they are. We can debate about how good they were at their best, and
Right.
I think that's a reasonable debate now. But like Darius Snow, potentially maybe your best linebacker, definitely a unique linebacker, a unique asset in the middle of that defense that could do different things for you. And fix other problems for you. Xavier Henderson, your top leader, your most experienced player, sure tackler type of guy, gets everybody lined up. Haven't had him since the first half of week 1. Jacob Slade's the cornerstone of the D-line. Now they're out without their 2 best ends on the other side opposite Jacoby Windman. So I don't know how much Mel will or has factored all that in. I mean, when you're playing Justin White and Kendall Brooks as your starting safeties, 2 guys who started their careers at Division II.
Right.
And look, they're solid players. They've both done some things. I think Kendall Brooks has been pretty good for the most part. And Justin White's had some flashes over his time here. I don't know if he's a every down solution necessarily, but he's held his own at times and whatnot. So I don't know how much he weighs that. I do think that probably, though, I mean, I am leaning toward Hazelton probably being let go at this point. Like I said, there's time to let it go. I mean, his comments that day and today, I think, play off of each other. Like he's never gonna just air the dirty laundry at a press conference,
Right.
And be like, yeah, this guy's really blowing it. We'll see if he's here on Monday, folks. Like he's not going to do that. But I think today was sort of, I'm sure you heard about that. I'm sure that was mentioned to him over the weekend, or just he caught wind of sort of the reaction to those comments and everything.
Yeah.
And I think today's comments sort of were a callback to that in the sense of like, look, that doesn't mean I'm happy with this, or that doesn't mean I'm not going to do anything.
Totally.
It just doesn't mean I'm going to do this all in the court of public opinion with all of you guys. When he says I'm not going to throw him under the bus publicly, I think that was him sort of winking that like, I'm not blind here, folks, to see that there's problems, and I'm not unwilling to make staff changes if necessary. It's just that I don't think he's ever going to do that publicly. And I think the Free Press, somebody wrote about, made a good connection about like when he was a defensive coordinator who was struggling in the NFL, and his head coach is standing by him and everything. And
sure,
I'm sure that all plays into this. He doesn't want to be. He's been in that position, so he knows he doesn't want to be. He doesn't want to hang people out to dry and make them the scapegoat and point all the arrows their way. They're taking enough arrows, Scottie is right now, and others. So I would still think though probably something's going to change, but guess we'll have to. Like I said, I mean, there's still time too.
Speaking of change, Steven, I don't know if you've heard any of you probably haven't heard any of this actually from the fan base. People wanting Noah Kim to start over Payton Thorne. Very, very quiet argument being blazed up on the internet right now. But hey, I got to ask you, Mel Tucker gives you a call Friday night and says, Steven, I'm in a pinch right now. I don't know who to start at quarterback tomorrow against Wisconsin. Who are you telling Mel Tucker to start under center this Saturday, 4 p.m. on Fox against Wisconsin? Give it to us.
Same guy. Yeah. I mean, look, I get everyone's fascinated with Noah Kim, and maybe we do need to see a little more of him, but like we've seen so little of this guy, and those coaches see him every day. That whole 100-man roster sees him every day. Like there'd be a bigger groundswell, I think, internally, for some sort of change, or at least an opportunity for Noah Kim, if he was really just dealing behind the scenes, and look, when do we see him in there? For one play at a time when Thorne's been getting evaluated, or late in these blowouts where, look, it's just human nature. I don't care how good you are, how motivated you are. Like, you're going to let your guard down a little bit. The calls aren't going to be as aggressive. The defenses aren't going to be as exotic or diverse or disguised as well, and that's even if you're playing the top personnel. Now you start bringing in second and third team guys or a freshman who's never played before, this and that. It's just not the same situation than going out there in the first quarter, 0-0 game. And the other, the defense is foaming at the mouth, ready to get after it. You're playing them when they've got their feet kicked up a little bit. So I continue to go back to that. Who would I start? I mean, I guess I would still go Thorne, like I said, but if there's going to be a change, like it can't just be a short-term deal. You got to think long-term and like who, and so you enter Payton Hauser into the discussion. I think like in terms of who do we trust can maybe be the guy for a while? Who has the highest ceiling that we just maybe need to get him going down that path a little bit? Maybe that's Noah Kim, maybe that's Payton Hauser. I don't know, but it wouldn't just be like a patch this up till the end of the year type of thing or something like that. To me, it would have to be a next year, a 2023, and maybe even beyond type of decision if you were going to make a move on Payton Thorne, because it's got to be somebody that you believe can raise the ceiling of that position moving forward. Maybe it's not immediate, maybe it's not at any point this year at all, but you trust and believe, and from what you've seen and evaluated, that guy can be your guy, long term down the line. And so, like I said, just get him going down that path then. And, I might write something about this. I think it's almost like this schedule is so unfortunate, for the way this season's played out. Like if Michigan had been, let's say Michigan was this week and then a bye week and then Wisconsin, like that would be ideal, because you normally in that bye week, the way things have gone, I think you could maybe sit down, have some tough discussions, maybe make some changes, like say young offensive linemen, like maybe quarterback, like maybe some young defensive backs, maybe sort of hit some reset buttons. But doing that the bye week before Michigan, and trusting some new guys to go out there and handle business in that game with, as I've mentioned to you and other places, with a Michigan team that I think is going to be jacked up to play this Michigan State team, that's not going to be a good situation either. So the schedule is really unfortunate, because I think in other circumstances, if you could get that Michigan game out of the way, go into a bye week, then you'd sort of have the runway to do some tinkering and maybe do some reevaluation, some second looks, different things, and then move forward from there and just sort of let the season play out how it will. But the way things stack up, you really can't do that until November. And now you might be looking at November as a must-win month. And I don't know if that's the right move at that point either. So tricky stuff, man.
It is. And like, just like you said, let's say, hey, things go south this weekend, right? I don't know if, hey, Noah Kim, your first start is going to be in this Coliseum, so to speak, and they are going to be looking to murder you because, hey, newsflash, Michigan fans are really pissed off at the last 2 years. If you don't believe me, go on StubHub and look how much tickets are going for in that game. They can say up and down, they don't care about this game as much as they want. No, this is a Super Bowl for them, so to speak. They want to see someone get sacrificed at the 50-yard line in their stadium. I don't know if that's necessarily the friendliest spot for a quarterback change. And I don't know if it's this weekend either, where you're still hanging on to your season by a little bit. You really need to win this game. So Champaign, Illinois, I guess, is the best time to do it. So,
and if you're Mel Tucker or Michigan State, you cannot look like you're not throwing your best punch at Michigan. Like if you do all those young guys and make some swaps and send some older guys to the bench and sort of hit reset, as I said, you cannot look like you're starting fresh against Michigan. You have to save that until after. So it would have been best. You can do that against Ohio State because, like I said, nobody expects you to beat them. And you're like, hey guys, go out there, take your lumps, and you'll be better for this. If Michigan and Ohio State were swapped on the schedule, then I would say right now, like, do it. Go all in on some young guys maybe and just sort of see where it goes. But as Michigan State, as Mel Tucker in year 2, you're 2-0, like against them, you cannot look like you're not giving your best shot against Ohio State. And look, it is as bad as it might be, your best shot is Payton Thorne. It is those fourth, fifth, sixth-year offensive linemen and everything right now. So that's another tricky part of it as well.
Yeah, well, here we are. So all we can do is just put on a brave face, smile, and just wait for next week when Stephen Brooks is back on the show here, Locked On Spartans. We will be back throughout the week. Look, we're going to be doing a crossover episode with Locked On Badgers, which, look, it's going to go better than last week's crossover episode. I probably shouldn't say that as a company man, but like, got some angry people after that one because it didn't. Not the friendliest conversation. Anyway, we'll figure that out on Thursday with Locked On Badgers. It'll go better this time around. But hey, in between all that, if there's any news to break, we'll talk about it here. Until then, keep it tuned. Locked On Spartans or 24/7 Sports. Steven, thanks a ton for your generosity, your time. You're the best.
Of course. I'll talk to you next week, man. Have a good week.
Bang. Let's do it. Everyone else, have a great rest of the week. Love you all. Go Green.